On today's primetime local news, the city announces its snow removal schedule and where they will be focusing on first. And drivers can expect higher fines for distracted driving. We speak to RCMP on what to expect. And the SUMA 4-day conference takes place this weekend, addressing municipal leaders on various issues and budgets. Plus, a first career goal for Jagger Firkus after being called up to the WHL with the Moose Jaw Warriors.
Prime time local news, serving the Lakeland and Midwest regions.
The Lloydminster Agriculture Exhibition Association will soon enter unknown waters as longtime general manager Michael Sidoric has announced his retirement. Sidoric has been with the Lloyd X since 1981 and took over as GM in 1989, which he managed till this year.
It's a good day, but a tough day. This association means an awful lot to me.
He says that now was the right time to step down for both himself and for the association.
I cannot even think of a better community to live in and work within. Everything we do here supports the development of Lloydminster area, and I am so thankful to be proud of that opportunity to do that for Lloydminster.
During this time, the GM Sidoric helped grow the fair industry in both provinces and piloted the multi-million-dollar expansion to the facility in 2010.
The fact is I do believe this association, it's time for people to transition out, to continue for the associations to grow and to prosper. And I think it's time, it was my time, I feel, to move forward to allow the association to continue to grow.
Sidoric added he's looking forward to more time with his family. Snow plows will soon be clearing snow off the roads in residential areas. Starting on Monday, the city will start scraping and clearing snow on residential streets. Crews will be working from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. The city encourages residents to move obstacles like cars and garbage carts from the roadway while the crews are working.
Heavy equipment out there, and please stay back from the equipment because they are moving forward, backing and everything. There's going to be anywhere from 8 to 10 pieces of vehicle on a street at one time, so it's nice if you can stay away while the street's being completed.
The city will post signs in neighborhoods to let the people know when crews will be working.
We'll be posting signage, so we have these great big 4x8 red barricades that we will be posting at the entrance to areas, and then within the areas there will be small A-frames saying winter maintenance or snow maintenance is happening, and we'll try to get them out within 48 hours of we get into the area.
More information on which communities will be plowed first is available on the city's website. The Saskatchewan Government Insurance, also known as SGI, recently announced that fines for distracted driving will be going up next month. They're trying to stop the amount of distracted driving on the roads. Our Jasmine King has more.
SGI claims that last year had more distracted drivers than they've seen in the past few years, as last October around 1,300 tickets were issued in Saskatchewan.
As of February 1st in Saskatchewan, the cost of distracted driving does go up significantly. Currently, before February 1st, the cost of a ticket is $280. As of February 1st, it's $580 for a first offense, and then there are escalating penalties for repeat offenders.
With the rise of people using their cell phones while driving, this gave the Saskatchewan law enforcement the idea to raise the fine for distracted drivers.
Not only is distracted driving still a pervasive problem, it's one of the leading causes of collisions, injuries, and fatalities on our roads. But we'd also seen the number of distracted driving tickets escalating over the past 2-3 years. And during 2019, we saw an average between January and October, an average of 900 tickets per month being issued by police across Saskatchewan.
Constable Michael Hagel with the Lloydminster RCMP says as the fines go up, more local RCMP will be on the lookout for distracted drivers.
You can see, again, as always, a lot more marked vehicles and sometimes unmarked vehicles will be out making patrols, looking for individuals on their cell phones or other electronic devices.
For Constable Hagel, he wants to remind drivers what can really happen when you're driving distracted.
It's very dangerous. You're driving sometimes a half-ton piece of metal at 100 kilometers an hour. You take your eyes off the road for a second, check your phone. That's 1 second another car could stop in front of you. It could lead to all kinds of problems.
SGI says the laws for distracted driving aren't changing. The only thing changing is the amount of the fine. Jasmine King, Primetime Local News.
The 9th annual Business Job Fair took place at Lakeland College today, where students came prepared and dressed professionally. Companies were brought in for the event to recruit students who are studying in the business programs. The 13 employers included a number of banks, accounting firms, and some agricultural financial institutes. They set up shop, giving network opportunities to students who came in. The main goal is for business students to connect, find out information, and then hopefully find employment after this job fair.
We also have a number of alumni that come back to man these booths. So graduates of our programs that are hired by the companies come in and chat with the students too. So it's really great for them to have that opportunity to see other students that are successful in their careers at this point.
And the fair isn't mandatory for students to make an appearance, but it's for those who would like to take advantage of the opportunities it offers. Lakeland College has also had job fairs in Vermilion in the past, and between the two campuses, they've been doing this fair for almost 17 years.
One student just told me that one accounting firm alone is hiring 5 students. So, hopefully 5 students this year will get, employed with that company. So.
The Business Job Fair plans to continue every year at Lakeland College. This weekend, members from Lloydminster City Council will attend the 115th Saskatchewan Urban Municipality Association Conference. This annual 4-day convention connects the mayor and councillors from across the province. Members will hear from the provincial government, which faces an election this fall.
We'll certainly be looking for some input, I hope, from the association and its members as to where we see the need of support and direction we'd like to see the government support municipalities throughout the province.
And 2 key issues for Alberta are funding arrangements and cannabis revenue sharing.
It's trying to find the balance because the province has to provide services. They collect taxes. We have to provide services. We collect taxes and get support from the provincial government. So we're looking to them to ensure that we have a stable and a good base to work with.
The SUMA conference kicks off Sunday morning at 10 a.m. And with the freezing weather lately, heat is on everyone's mind, and local family-run business R&D Plumbing and Heating provides 24-hour service in case of any heating emergency. Eric Bay has more in this week's BioClean Business Bio.
R&D Plumbing has been a part of Lloydminster for years, and with many long-standing customers, decided to show their appreciation for their clients.
So now we provide a club membership. It's $19.97 a month. We come to your house twice a year to inspect your HVAC system, so your furnace and your air conditioning, and then we also come out and do an inspection on your plumbing and help do basic maintenance on it.
R&D also comes within 24 hours if something does come up at a club member's home.
So if you call in, we'll get you for sure within 24 hours. It's also the front of the line pass. So if you're a club member and we have 20 calls booked up or booked in, and you call as a club member, you're the next available call. So the next call you get booked in, so you take priority.
And with unpredictable winters in Lloydminster, R&D has 24-hour service for those times when the temperature drops and furnaces break down.
I think we really noticed that 2 weeks ago there. We had, I think, just about 8 guys going till about 7, 8 at night every night. And then our on-call guy had, I'm sure he had over 50 hours overtime just in that. But when it's 40, 50 below, we basically have all hands on deck.
R&D also provides air conditioning services as well. And that's this week's BioClean Business Bio.
Homes are for everyone. Your home is your sanctuary, your oasis, your safe place. Let our family take care of yours while you get back to your life.
And now a look at your weather forecast with our Jasmine King.
Thanks, Judy. Looking at the current temperature here in the border city, we are still sitting at around -3 degrees. The wind has died down a bit, but still with that wind chill, we are at -9 degrees, so not too cold compared to that. But as we look more around the region, Marwayne is sitting at -4, St. Paul at -3, Bonnyville, Cold Lake, and Lac La Biche are all sitting at -1 degrees, and Vegreville is down at -6 degrees. And now as we look at the Saskatchewan side, Meadow Lake and North Battleford are both at -7, where St. Walburg is sitting at -4. So the Saskatchewan side has a little bit of colder temperatures than we are seeing around the Alberta side and around the border city. And as we look at the satellite radar, again, we did see that for precipitation overnight, and that kind of went through the Edmonton and Vegreville area. So that might continue on later on in the evening, and even up in the Cold Lake area is where we saw some as well. And as we look at the school day forecast for tomorrow, for the end of the week, it might not be too cold when school starts, only at -1 degrees, but at recess, they're still going to need a toucan jacket as it's going to be -2 degrees, and lunch will be at -1, same when school's over. So as they're getting ready for the weekend, it won't be too cold out. And as we look at the 3-day forecast, tomorrow is going to be breaking even at 0 degrees, but with that wind chill, we're still seeing -9 degrees. So it'll be the same as we're currently seeing right now, but not too much of a dip down to -9. But as we look at Saturday, it's one of our only positives that we will be seeing for the week, but that wind chill is still climbing all the way down to -17. So even with it being a positive degrees, we are still going to be pretty cold with that wind. And as we look at Sunday, that is when we're going to be seeing more of those colder temperatures start once again at -7 degrees. And then that wind chill is bringing it all the way down to -25 degrees. But that is your 3-day forecast, and we'll have more news coming up after the break.
Welcome back. With mental health becoming a bigger focus in recent years, the Do More Ag Foundation is working to bring that awareness to farmers with their second It Starts With Me campaign. Eric Bay takes a look at how the campaign is breaking down the stigma in this week's Ag Report.
The Do More Ag Foundation has been working to destigmatize mental health in agriculture, and their campaign uses the people they are trying to help, farmers.
This is their raw emotions or thoughts, whether it's self-talk or things that they've heard. It's what they've heard and that they feel that makes this so impactful.
It Starts With Me has producers take things they've heard in the industry and flip the script to a positive tone.
They were encouraged to share something that they felt or had heard that might be stigmatizing, and then frame a better way of context to maybe rephrase and change the conversation.
Farming can be a solitary business, which raises the importance of starting the conversation around mental health.
I think it's a starting point. Obviously, you're going to open up and maybe talk to some people you know who are in a similar situation, or your doctor or religious leader who you trust a little more, maybe a family member. So it's important that those in need have the right information, but also the family and friends and the people in the peer circles that first catch wind or see signs in somebody, that they also know where to send people and the right types of conversations to have.
Till we have the adequate supports and no more stigma and things like that, these types of campaigns keep mental health in agriculture on the forefront of our minds, and as well it helps to continue to normalize the conversation.
Whether it's opening up to a friend or seeking professional help, it's important to take that first step to seek help about mental health.
So if you know somebody suffering, Lloydminstermentalhealth.ca or .com is the easiest place to start. Talk to your family physician, talk to whoever you're comfortable with in your peer circles. There's lots of nonprofits out there.
Producers are encouraged to participate by sharing their stories on social media and tagging Do More Ag. Eric Bay, Primetime Local News.
This Ag Report is brought to you by the Lloydminster Co-op Agro Center. Depend on them for product, tools, and expert advice. Shop at your local Lloyd Co-op Agro Center with branch locations in Lashburn and Neilburg.
And now here are your agriculture prices for today.
We're a part of less than 5% of Canadian auto body shops and Lloydminster's only locations with certified collision care recognition at City Centre Auto Body.
Some student athletes are away from their families while they're at school. Some student athletes have part-time jobs. All student athletes put in hundreds of hours practicing and playing the sport they love. Regarding Bell Let's Talk Day, how do coaches help their athletes live and play mentally strong? Our Montana Getty has the story.
The hardest part of being a student athlete is being able to show up ready to go every day when you have all these different stressors that are on your mind as you get going.
Sports are mentally and physically stressing on the human body. But when it comes to the mental aspect of a sport, it's hard for an athlete to play to the best of their ability when their mind isn't dialed in.
With our group, I think it's important to make sure that every single day, not just on the weekend when we're competing, that they're strong mentally, but we keep talking about it in our training as well, making sure we train 4 days a week and making sure they come in and they leave everything at the door and they come in a good mind space to get better.
Coaches say a sport can be what helps an athlete stay focused.
One of the great things about sport is lots of people are able to use it as an outlet and a place, that they can just let go and not worry about all of the outside distractions and all the things that are going on in their life, and just use it as a release.
There are some things that coaches do to help their players mentally on and off of the court.
Just making sure that we check in and we have our one-on-one meetings and chat about how things are going, and every Monday at training I try and take a couple guys off to the side and just to see how things are going and how they're feeling and what's going good in their lives and maybe things that they're struggling with.
We typically have constant check-ins, and the hope is that the athletes are going to be comfortable enough and be able to trust me to come and talk to me if they're going through some things that are kind of getting them down and that they're struggling with, and then I can either try to help them if I'm able to, but if again, I'm not a professional in the area, right? So if it's something that I don't think I can help them with, then at least I can try to pass them on and give them the resources that might be able to help them elsewhere.
They also mentioned why it's important to have a day like Bell Let's Talk Day.
It's an important time for not only the players to recognize that they're not alone, and maybe those few individuals who maybe are keeping it in have that chance to have their voice heard. Being able to have someone to talk to, I think, is super important.
Montana Getty, Primetime Local Sports.
This week saw a first for an Irma hockey product. Jagger Furcus was called up to the WHL with the Moose Jaw Warriors and tallied his first career goal.
It's it up top. Augustine shot deflected in. Tipped in by Jagger Furcus. That'll be his first career Western Hockey League goal.
Furcus was called up for his fourth WHL regular season game last weekend against the Swift Current Broncos. The fourth rounder in the 2019 WHL draft has found continued success with the Midget AAA team. Furcus has points in 18 of the 25 games this season, with 7 being multi-point games.
He's a special player. He's a very special player, and he's starting to find that rhythm. And I thought he got rewarded for some of the good things he's been doing leading up to it, and found a way to break through.
Furcus and the rest of the AAA team will finish off the season with 5 games on the road. The team currently sits with a .500 record. And now to our Jasmine King, who's got the weather.
Thanks, Evan. Looking at the current temperatures here in the border city, we are still sitting at around -3 degrees, and now overnight we will be getting a bit colder. But tomorrow we will be seeing 0 degrees, and that's going to be a common trend throughout, including North Battleford, as currently right now is -7 degrees, and overnight they do get a bit colder at -9. And then tomorrow they will be seeing 0 degrees. And as we look at Cold Lake, they're currently at -1, so they're almost at the positives, but not quite there yet. And overnight they will be seeing a bit of snow and going down to -6 degrees, and then tomorrow they will be seeing that +1. And now as we look at more places tomorrow around the region, as we mentioned, Cold Lake and Bonnyville and Pearson and Lac La Biche will all be at 1 degrees. Edmonton will be up at 2, and Vermilion and Vegreville and Provost will also be at 1 degree. And now as we look at the Saskatchewan side, Isle Cross, Green Lake, Meadow Lake will be at 2 degrees, and North Battleford and Maidstone, St. Walburg are all going to be sitting around that 0 degrees. And as we look overnight across different areas in the region, there will be seeing some snow in a few places around, with Meadow Lake seeing that, as well as Pearson, Bonnyville, and Myrnam. And overnight, Paradise Hill and Unity will be getting to -9 degrees, where Wainwright and Isla Cross will be at -6. And as we look across the country, Vancouver is seeing a bit of rain, but they are still in that positives at 8 degrees. Edmonton is at -1, and Regina is at -6, and Winnipeg at -4. But the eastern side of the country, again, is colder than what we're seeing here in Alberta and Saskatchewan, as Quebec City is at -11 degrees. Halifax is also at -11, and St. John's is at -4, and Toronto is at -3. So they're seeing more minuses than we are seeing here on the western side of the country. Iqaluit is at -22 degrees with some of that snow, and Yellowknife is at -24, so they are one of the colder places in the country. And Whitehorse is also seeing snow at -8 degrees. And now as we look at the 7-day forecast for here in Lloydminster, we are seeing again 0 degrees tomorrow, but Saturday will be a day where we will be seeing a positive, so we'll be seeing 2 there, and Sunday is going to be getting back down to those colder degrees at -7 degrees. And Monday is where we're going to be seeing that really cold day at -16. And then as we look further on into next week, Tuesday will be at -4, Wednesday at -2, and Thursday at -4. So it is more of that cloudy mix throughout the week. But Sunday, we're going to be seeing more of that sun, even though we are going to be a little bit colder. But that is your 7-day forecast, and we'll have more news coming up after the break.
Well, the city's finally doing snow removal. So the question was, the city announced their snow removal schedule to start this coming week. So would you have liked it to have happened earlier or more often? And I think a lot of people were talking about it prior to us even questioning this. They were saying whether or not, they need to do it a month earlier, and they needed to have done it when the snow dumps quickly so that they can drive around and stuff like that. But I'm glad they've started.
Yeah, at
Which
least
is a good
I think
thing.
at least they've started.
Yeah.
I mean, I've looking at some comments on here. A lot of people have mixed opinions, saying they're doing what they can, and
Yeah.
some people are just like, I'm just glad to see that it is being removed and things like that. So
Yeah.
there's some mixed opinions out there about it.
Of course. And I think a lot of people are complaining about the fact that when it gets icy and the snow keeps dumping, they want it cleaned faster at the time. But I get it, like budgets and stuff like that. I get the idea of getting them out there as well too. And it was freezing at one point. I can't see them being out there when it's freezing. Nobody wants to get out there when it's freezing.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
maybe that's a thing. But I'm glad they started, and it's a good thing.
I know for me, it wasn't as much about like a lot of snow piling up and that I couldn't drive. It was
Yeah.
more just the ice that I was like more scared about getting into accidents and,
Yeah.
and slipping the wrong way.
Yeah. And I slipped a couple of times, so I'm saying I'm glad y'all are out there starting to do this with the snow, because when you slip down on the ground, it's a painful feeling. But a lot of people slip with their cars too. I mean, like, it's hard. You can get into an accident or something like that. So it's nice when the city does that.
Yeah,
for
and
sure.
I've broke my ankle slipping on ice, so I just try
Yes.
to penguin waddle every time I go on ice now.
As you should.
Yes.
We'll all penguin walk with you. And on another note, thanks for sending your pet pics for a chance to win a gift card from the Pet Pad.
We want to see your pets. Send photos of your pet and their name to our Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram to have them featured on Pet of the Day. Your name will be entered into a weekly draw for a gift certificate from the Pet Pad.
In studio with me is Dr. Becky Newman of the Lloydminster Animal Hospital. Thank you for making the time today. A topic that's popped up in the news more than a few times and pops up on podcasts quite a bit as well is having animals on planes, or specifically having your pets with you, your emotional support dog, that kind of thing. Is that something that you often get asked about when you're at work at the hospital?
Yeah, we get asked on a very regular basis about people going to be traveling with their pets and what we know about the guidelines and whether they should look at sedating their pet or not. So I would say it's a conversation with so many people traveling down to the States in the winter time. It's a conversation we have on a, if not daily, at least a few times a week.
Certainly. So what do you think then in terms of how it's changed now? Because compared to 5 years ago, you didn't see that many animals on planes. You see it kind of all the time.
Right. So I know the airlines do have very specific guidelines on how many animals can be on each flight. They won't allow too many pets on any flight. I think it's often under 4, but you can check that with whatever airline you're flying with. And they do have guidelines based upon the size of your dog. And for flying in the cabin with you, they usually want the dog to be in a soft-sided kennel, so one that kind of looks like a duffel bag. It's a soft side, not a hard side, and it has to fit in the seat underneath you, in front of you. And
So
it has to stay there for the whole flight.
So not going to see mastiffs on a plane anytime soon?
No, you shouldn't be seeing those. The only time you should see the big dogs on planes would be like you're talking about, if it is an emotional support dog, if it's a seeing eye dog. I do have some clients who participate in search and rescue, and those very well-trained dogs are allowed to fly on the planes as well.
And speaking of well-trained, is that something you would advise certainly your patients or clients that you talk to? If they're going to take their animal with them, it should be a situation where they know their animal can react well to stress, or if, I guess the opposite is true, where their animal doesn't react well to stress. You wouldn't recommend that.
That is the exact conversation that I have with clients all the time. If you have a pet that reacts negatively to stressful situations and is easily stressed out themselves, then airline travel might not be the best for them. The other conversation that I have is that if you have spent the time and trained your pet that they are comfortable being in a small kennel for extended periods of time, then that's great. They might travel really well with you on an airline. But if you haven't put that time and commitment into training your pet, if they don't travel well in the car, coming to the vet clinic or places like that, then the chances of them doing well on airline travel are pretty low as well. A lot of people come to me with the question, should I sedate my dog to fly on the plane? And I know a lot of airlines don't recommend that because sometimes you don't know for sure how the pet is going to react to the sedation. And if it does come to the point where we think your pet does need some anxiety medications or sedation, we would always recommend that we have time to try those medications at home and see how your pet reacts before you would even think of giving that to your pet before you put them on an airline. But yeah, my general guideline is if they don't travel well or like to be in a kennel at home, then airline travel probably isn't the best thing for them.
And obviously that then kind of moves to the next side of the conversation, which is just at what level is it, courteous or not courteous? So the critics, I guess, of having animals on the airplane is that it could be an allergic situation for some animals and some people. Though, as you were kind of telling me off camera, that's not necessarily as grave a concern as some other types of allergies are. People aren't typically that allergic to animals. Yeah,
and there's a whole range of how allergic people can be to pets, but in most situations it wouldn't be a case of an anaphylactic, very severe reaction where people could usually, they're not often fatal, I guess. Right. It would be more so that, you get you're getting dry nose and throat, you're getting stuffy, itchy, things like that. So yes, I would say a peanut allergy or something would probably be more severe. I did, when I was doing some research on flying, the one pet that they talked about in particular was cats. And if you're flying with a cat, they do often request that you sit at the back of the airplane because people tend to be more allergic to cat dander than they might be to dogs.
Okay. And so in general, when people make this choice, not only for the health of the pet, but also when they're thinking about customers, you should just simply think of both generally being courteous, but also thinking of what's the best fit for you and your pet.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Like, I think you want to be courteous to the people around you. You don't want a dog being disruptive on a flight, or you don't want a dog that's acting really stressed out as well. If they're really anxious, I mean, that's not good for your pet. They're going to fly worse the next time if they're that anxious this time around. And it's definitely an inconvenience to those around you. A lot of people, if they're going on extended vacations, want to take their pet with them to kind of share that experience with them. But on a shorter term vacation, it may be less stressful for your pet to go to a boarding kennel or stay with a family member that they're familiar with already.
Awesome. Thank you again for coming into studio, and hopefully more people have a more clear picture when they head out on their vacation.
There's going to be some cool toys on hand, I bet, and lots of opportunity to play and dance at the annual Dreaming Out Loud Children's Gala. The gala is coming up on May the 9th, but if you want to make sure you have tickets, you've got to be at the Lloyd X on Saturday morning at 9 a.m. because that is their huge early bird one-day ticket sale. You can get a couple tickets, you can get a full table, but this event, it is a great family event. There's going to be delicious food. There's going to be lots of activities for the kids. There's going to be a chance for the kids to dance the afternoon, the evening away, and it's all to help out a great cause, the Interval Home. So if you want to get your tickets, make sure you're in for this great family event. Make sure you're at the Lloyd X Saturday morning at 9 a.m. Coming up on Saturday night, you've got a chance to head out with the family, have a delicious meal, help out a great cause when the St. Walburg's Wildlife Federation hosts their annual supper banquet. Things are going to get underway at 5 o'clock at the St. Walburg Elks Hall. That's when the doors will open. Supper will be served at 6, and your tickets, you just get them at the door. You get a delicious meal, and you get to help out a great cause as well as they work to do great conservation efforts in that area. So a great way to have a great meal coming up this Saturday night. And Valentine's Day, it's getting closer and closer, isn't it? Well, the Manitou Pioneers Museum, they hope that you can join them for an early Valentine's evening next Saturday, February the 8th. They're going to have a delicious meal, and they're going to have a great show with Travis Dolter and the Travis Dolter Band. He knows some classic country, some new country, a little bit of rock and roll. It's going to be a whole lot of fun, and you're going to help out a great cause. If you want to get your tickets, there's a number of different ways you can do so, including stopping by Synergy Credit Union in Neilburg. Well, whatever you choose to do this weekend, I hope you have a great one. I'm Heather Klegus, and that's what's happening.
Furniture set and design supplied by Furniture Gallery and Furniture House, downtown Lloydminster.
We are here with Mallory Smith, who's the day program coordinator for Libby Young Center. We're talking about mental health for all. Thank you for being here with us.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Mallory, let's talk a little bit about the fact that Libby Young has been here for such a long time, since 1983 or something like that. You guys have been here. Tell us a little bit about that.
So yeah, we've been a part of the community for quite some time. However, recently we're kind of getting some information. We're learning that the community isn't aware as much as we would like to for them to know about us. So we're going to do some strategic planning in the next year to be a bigger part of the community, to have just raise awareness for mental health and mental illness, to provide those educational opportunities.
Which is so awesome. And I think right now, because of the Bell Talks, Let's Talk, it's happened yesterday and it's happening throughout the nation. It's so important for people in Lloyd to come out and talk about that. Mental health is not an easy thing. A lot of people suffer in the dark with that.
Yeah, and there's a stigma attached to it, right? I think we've come a long way as a nation, just talking more openly about mental health and mental illness, but I think we still have a long way to go.
For sure. Here in Lloyd, do you find a lot of people in need of that? Obviously, everybody. I need it too. Everybody really needs this, right?
Absolutely.
But how are you guys helping the people here? What's going on here in Lloyd?
So we provide 5 programs. So we work with adults with mental health and mental illness. So our 5 programs are the day program, a supported independent living program, a life skills program, a summer recreation program, and a community education program. So we're working on building those daily living skills to help them become confident and living and transitioning into the community on their own.
Which is awesome. And you have a resource line as well too for them, right?
Yeah, absolutely. There's 24-hour staff support there for at all times for anyone that needs it.
And the people that work with you, obviously are experts or professionals in this. What do you see more of people coming in? What do you see people talking about mostly?
Largely the stigma, not knowing who to go to, who to talk to, isolating, being alone, not knowing what's out there in the community, and not knowing how to engage and having the confidence to be a part of activities and stuff.
And I think Libby Young Center was created for a reason. There's somebody that started it. Tell us a little bit about that story.
So we actually are doing a project right now. So we're building something that we want to unveil to the community about the Libby Young Center and our history. So we're finding out some more information through archival research to kind of present that to the community, and we're still working on that currently now.
For sure. So there's so many things that we want to talk about. How can people get in touch with you? How can people come to you? Is it an open door thing, like people can just walk in and get some help?
So you can call at any time to reach out and get some information. We are a referral-based facility, so there would be an application process involved, and then you can become a part of the Libby Young Center, but it's not like a drop-in kind of recreational facility per se. But we do have our line that you can call. We also have the info@libby.ca, which anybody can email questions to, and we'll get back to you very promptly with some answers.
It's awesome. And I think when somebody goes through that and they're wanting to reach out, after they've reached out, it's still, they're still fearful, right? They've just opened the door to a whole bunch of pain and things that they haven't talked about. What are some of the steps that you guys have, or do you have something that helps them throughout?
Yeah, so we actually work with a lot of community organizations. So we partner with the Saskatchewan Health Authority, and we will refer out to other organizations. It might be like some bereavement counseling, mental health counseling, whatever is needed, that employment counseling, that kind of stuff.
And with Bell Talks, Let's Talk, I mean, this has been going on for such a long time, but now I'm finding more and more people are open. They're on social media talking about it. They're everywhere. How far do you think we've come in terms of mental health?
We've come a long way. Social media, I think, plays a huge part in that because everyone is sharing everything, updating. It makes it a little more easy to reach out and maybe see what's going on for other people. But at the same time, social media can also be isolating as well because we can hide behind social media and not really be showing what we are truly feeling to people and just showing a certain facade.
Yeah, and interesting you point out on that because a lot of young people suffer through this as well too, and I think the whole idea is to reach out to them as well. I mean, adults, obviously we go through a lot of different things. We've had a lot of experiences in life that can affect us, but young people that are going through that, it's hard for them. They don't know how to navigate through all of that stuff. What are some of the things that they can do with you guys?
So our community education program, we're hoping to be a little bit more involved in the community and raise awareness. So maybe reducing stigma, providing those coping strategies, those resources in the community to reach out to, and just letting everyone know it's okay. We all suffer with bad days and good days, and it's important to have those healthy habits to have a healthy lifestyle.
Awesome. Thanks, Mallory. We're running out of time, and thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
We want to have you to come back, of course, for us and tell us more about that kind of stuff. And where can they find you on the website? Is there a website?
Yeah, we do have a website. I believe it's just libby.ca, and our info@libby.ca is where we'll answer those questions. And we do have a direct line. If you just Google Libby Young Center, there's a number you can call.
Awesome. Such an important topic, obviously, mental health. Thank you so much for being here, Mallory.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Wow, we've been talking about mental health a lot lately, and I'm so glad because a lot of people need to hear that and need to have a place to talk about it.
And mental health affects so many people in so many different ways.
Definitely. And on that one note, thanks for watching, everybody, and we'll see you again tomorrow.